Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another riveting breakdown. We are traveling into the world of cinematic commercials. Let's go. Pay careful attention here to the start, because this is really all we're going to talk about. And then from here, it's a normal commercial. Ponies. Who doesn't like ponies? We're not going to talk about any of this. This is all normal. Did you see it early on there? Did you see what might be interesting? Let's go back to the start here, and let's play it again. Now, what could be interesting here? It's tricky. You got to be fast. Let's start with the wide here, because even though this isn't the most important part, it will show you that this commercial has a lot of the stuff in the framework that we normally talk about and the stuff that we talk about on the channel. When we've got our overhead, right, you know the drill. We don't want this light spilling all over the place in the background because it's going to take away our attention here, which is these little tiny highlights that pull these people out of the background, right, which is significantly lower in light levels. We want to pull them out with these little highlights. And to do that, we need shadow towards the camera, and we need that little tiny edge on them. You can see on the ground, you can see just how soft these shadows are, right? There's basically nothing there, a little bit here below the chair, and then we have this nice little circle here of things that we're shooting through. It's very nicely done. The lighting is beautiful, but we're really not going to talk about that. What we are going to talk about is this little sequence at the beginning. Let's bump out of here. Let's go back to our little sequence at the beginning. Do you see what is slightly strange here? And why it has the effect that it does. So let's watch through it one more time. Hello, how are you? I'm stunned. Talk to me. Hey, hey, hey. You're not listening. This is like you guys listening to me talk right now. You're just staring. What is he doing? What is he talking about? And then somebody in the green jacket is like, you look closer. Something is strange. What is it? I don't know. Just tell us. You fool. Okay, what is strange is that we are flipping the side of the line when we come out to the wide. And it is a little bit, even if you don't know it, it's a little bit off-putting because your eyes have to hunt as soon as you get to the wide. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So, eyeballs here, let's split this. She is looking this way of camera, right? Camera over here, she's looking this way. That is the side of the line, right? We've established the side of the line. The camera is going to be on her left eye, that side, right? So now when we go to the next shot, let's see. Okay, yes, that makes sense. She's looking in the right direction because we're now on her, the right eye of her. The camera is still maintaining the right side of the line here for this shot. Okay, we go back. Okay, even this works, right? We're still looking at that same eye. The line is still looking this way. She's looking this way. Now, I'm gonna leave up this line so you know which way she's looking, right? Bang. What is going on? Why is she now looking this way? Right? What has happened? Why would you possibly do that? I don't know. I can't speak for the people that made this commercial, but I can tell you that what you have to do here is because she's looking that way, it immediately draws your eye of like, okay, well, I know when we cut back, it's probably going to be a similar angle to this, right? And because she's probably going to be on this side, right? This is like center framing, but oftentimes you'll see people positioned in the frame over here, looking this way. And the people looking this way, position on that side of the frame. That way it's really easy for your eye to bounce back and forth. The geography of the scene is all in your head at this point. Everybody knows where everybody is. But then what happens is, when we're looking, I guess, again, center frame, we're anticipating looking the other way, and now, boom, we look at her first, then you look over here, right? Because we're anticipating, oh, we're gonna look this way because it's now, the conversation continues based on the audio and the flow of the edit. Oh, we're just gonna look over here. But then no, you look over here and then you're like, wait a sec, that's our gal. And you look back over here, right? Now, if we watch this whole thing through, just to prove that I'm not crazy, let's do it again. She's looking that way, a little bit strange. Look at me, boom. Now, this line is actually look at me. So we're not gonna do any, read into this any further than we have to. Who knows what these people were actually thinking. But the line look at me, plus the line jump, is it a coincidence? Hard to say, but it's something that I would do if I was in on this and I needed a joke and I was shooting commercials. I just needed to have a little bit of fun. I'd say, why don't we do this? So very, very smart. Anyway, to see how this flows as a different commercial, let's watch it one more time. Looking that way, looking that way. Hey, Boom, line swap. What happens if we go back to the start and let's go to our clips here and let's flip them. Now this is technically what we would say the right side of the line the whole time. So, ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. It just seems easier on the eyes to go from this shot here, right? She's looking this way now. And as we play, she's still looking that way, right? We extend this line a little bit. She's still looking that way. It just seems just that little tiny bit easier. And you're probably thinking, well, the issue is that if we come back in here, the issue, actually we need to go to the previous shot. When we come here, the issue is that, well, it's a toppy light, big giant toppy light with a little bit of bounce here, right? The little eye light in here that is just filling in all of the shadows that would be happening here. We're using our top light, all the things in the background we're not gonna talk about, we'll just talk about this shadow side of her face, right? So the light is coming over the top this way. You may be thinking, well, is that really gonna match when we come in here? Well, yeah, it's more filly this side, but every time we look at wides, they get more filly because you can't get as close. I think it actually feels more normal than doing it the opposite way, right? If we go back to the way that it was, and we flip it back, come back in here. I think it's weird that there's this much light on this side, right? Strange, strange. Hello, ta-da. You see the little difference there? Just a tiny, tiny little difference. Something to think about when you're doing light, like it's hard, okay, especially because in this scenario, it's a little bit easier to take because you're starting in the close-ups and you come out to the wide. If you go from the wide to the close-up back to the wide, the scene is a little bit longer than these 3 or 4 lines that is in this one. It can be a little bit jarring, but this one is very, very subtle and you gotta be paying attention. But it's just one of those things where if you know the rule, then you can use it to your advantage, like these people probably did. You can just sneak it in there and get away with it. There was one other thing I want to talk about in here, which is a good example of all this classroom stuff. Again, like sometimes you want to blast in light from the outside. Sometimes you want to block off all the outside light. And again, top light, push level this way. So we're still looking into the shadow, even though this is all top lit, right? We're still looking into the shadow. You see throughout this entire commercial, really, we're shooting through these little elements just to connect them and create as much depth as we can. Don't you even say that's the L of the room. If anybody thought that in their head, get out. You're too advanced for this. Okay, let's get to the good stuff, actually. Where's our cowboy? Like a rhinestone cow. There he is. Okay, so my little example before of, oh, come on. Man, my skills on the keyboard are lacking today. My little example of you're always going to get way more nuanced once you get into the closer shots. Let's take a look at this, right? This is supposed to match the very next shot. And if we play, it's not going to play. Perfect. Thank you, resolve. Ta-da. Significantly more nuanced here with the lighting, right? We've got key coming from the same side as the key in the previous, right? Okay, at least it's the same direction. But look at the harshness. Let's cut down the harshness. Let's add in way more neg as we come in, right? You get all of this, plus our little leak down here. And what's the important part about this little leak here is that it isn't far enough around this way, right? It's backy enough that this light doesn't somehow reach around and hit the side of his face here. That is what we don't want. But this is a good looking shot, right? You got this thing going on back here. The colors are nice, makes the skin stand out, this little tiny edge. Okay, is that normal? No. Is that realistic? No, but it looks really nice, doesn't it? And this is tiny, I mean, you can't even feel the shadow fall off here, right? As we transition across the face, get light here, see this little, oh, there's the sky, it's a cowboy, yay. I mean, it's a good looking shot. Whereas here, rougher, right? Significantly rougher. But that's really the only thing. We got the angles going the same way. Everything's going the same way here. The light's coming from the same direction. It's just way more nuanced. So just a quick little look today. Really, it was about this first scene of just seeing what you can do with the power of flipping the side of the line. You can trick people. Whoa, I'm supposed to look over there? No, you're supposed to look the other way. Smile, smile. Look at how nice this is too. This is like a good balance between, okay, in the wide, we're gonna top light everything, but then how do we make it not so terrible for bags under the eyes, and how do we make it feel a little bit more natural? You can see the eye light in here. Just wrap it around gradually. Anything sudden It doesn't really look that nice. And also a good example of, okay, well, what happens if you don't salt and pepper the background? Well, you better have nice lighting in the foreground, or else it's going to be harder to sell any depth, right? It looks like, okay, we're in this little playhouse that's happening, but there's not a whole lot back there. So it doesn't have quite the same separation as you would if you were going to salt and pepper things back there. You had some practical stage lamp or something. Holy big pen. Look at the size of that thing. Anyway, that's our little look. Nothing too complicated, but just switching up the sides of the line, and then as you move in, looking how much more nuanced you can get. And actually, if we play it back, this is the one I always talk about. Where's our cowboy? If you can do this shot, you can do every single shot in this thing, right? If you know the principles that are there and you can communicate what you want, you're just doing the same thing here. Only if you could, like if you were on a giant Marvel level budget, you could get this level of finesse and of control in the wider shots. It just becomes way more expensive, right? Okay, the sun isn't in this shot, so the harshness here that is happening, if we make the pen normal size, the harshness here that is happening, you could get rid of that, right? You could put up a big giant frame to make it softer, and then you could have a huge giant neg behind the camera, right? Like a 40 by 40, just some giant thing on like a little arm that you could come down in an angle like this to really get a lot of neg in. Then you bring out the 18Ks and you could get this little tiny back edge. You could do this. It just costs a lot of money. Whereas this doesn't really cost a lot of money, right? This, you're probably getting away with a little bit of diffusion, a little bit of ultra bounce or something to wrap it around, and then, you know, a little M18 or a mirror if there's actually sun out and you're in the shade. That's the easiest way to do it. Anyway, those are the thoughts. I have nothing else to offer, really, and that'll do it. We'll see you in the next one.